Hello and welcome everyone to the stream. Nice to see you all over here. Tonight is going to be the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup Grand Final, so the top 12 players of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup event. How did they get there? Well, it's the top two of each challenge final, with the top two of the overall male rankings and the top two of the overall female rankings. These are the 12 players that you see on your screen at the moment. First warning signal for the start procedure has been given. All 12 players are in and ready to grab the title of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup winner. We can see, well, in the players, obviously, they all won the challenge finals. But we do see a good representation of the Japanese community with 4 of the players, Wimui, FC Rich, Kazuki, and KGR. So FC Rich and Kazuki won in the Challenge 2, KGR won the Challenge 3, and when we qualified from the overall standings. We do indeed only have one French player in this list, being Julie Ha, qualified last night in the Challenge 4. It was actually a very interesting final to watch if you want to watch the replay, with a 3-way tie for first place between Ame, Julie Ha, and Moro Di Napoli. 5 seconds to start. First race is going to be the Nacra 17. We know this boat very well for in this event, one of the Olympic classes on Regatta offshore, and it looks like a false start from Jose Goody over here, the Brazilian e-sailor, who qualified from the first challenge with Harder. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. As I was saying, 9 races in total, with 1 discard after race number 6. And we're going to be cycling through each of the Olympic boats, so the Nacra 17, Ilca, and 49er. So far, Kazuki is in the lead according to the ranking on the left, and as I was starting the sentence, Jeff GBA took first spot from him. Jeff GBA being the second in the overall female rankings from Poland, that we've also seen in the Eastern World Championship semifinals. And well, so far the 2 female players are the one leading the leaderboard, which is nice to see. We'll see how they perform. Unfortunately, none of these 2 players qualified in challenge finals, so we didn't see them yet in the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup event. But being first in their respective rankings does show that they do have a level. We see Yuzu over here alone on her side. Starboard, while the rest of the fleet decided to go on the left over there. With this huge shift coming in, favoring the port tack. And Harder is going to be the first one with Julie Ha to round the first upwind mark. And well, who do you guys think is going to win the event today? We do have some big names in here, so I'm expecting some tight races. But yes, for those of you watching us, who did you name let's say the top 2 players that you think will win the event? Winner of the event will actually get, therefore, the title of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup winner, but will also have the opportunity to design a new course named after them that will be able to integrate on Regatta Inshore. Meanwhile, Harder and Julie are the first 2 to reach the gates, each choosing a different mark but sailing straight onto starboard after that. While Ame decided to go on the right over here, continuing on to port, trying to get that wind pressure that you can see on the minimap on your top left of the screen. Let's have a bit of a bird's eye view to see how the fleet is spreading. We see 3 or 4 of them going towards the left over here, while the rest are going on to the right. The right does seem a bit darker, so it normally has more wind. With the Nacra 17, It's not as tactical in the sense where you're going to be battling for wind shadows and trying to slow down your opponents, because the wind shadow is quite small and not very effective. At least the boat can still go quite fast with it, well, while being on wind shadow. So most of the strategy is going to be picking the correct shifts, the correct tacks, and trying to get as much wind as you can get. We'll see who reaches the top mark first. Looks like Kazuki is in a good position. Julifra right over there with him. Just has to be careful with Julifra, because Julifra is coming onto starboard and decides to attack right in front of it. Both boats trying to luff up to reach this mark zone, and Julifra has slowed down quite a bit to do that, leaving the lead to Kazuki on this second and last downwind of the race. Meaning that Kazuki is likely going to take the win for the first race. Meanwhile, behind we can see Hide and Lejefa GBA right next to each other, catching up onto Shiloh Finn, who took a penalty, did not see from whom. And well, Hide qualified from, I think it was Challenge 3 for Hide. So yeah, Kazuki taking first place in this first race. He's shown us several times during the year what kind of level he has in e-sailing, dominating the semi-final A that was last weekend. If you want to watch the replay, you'll see that that he was ahead in terms of points by quite a margin. And Jose Goody and Yuzi are going to be the last two to finish the race, and this will be our standings for race number 1. So as usual, you're going to have to give me a few minutes to tally up the scores and launch the race, the next race, which is going to be in Ilca. In the second race, so the Ilca very slow boat in the upwind, very nasty downwind with the wind shadow. Most of the strategy is going to be on the wind shadow. We repeat that every time because it is true, and this is where most of the battle is going to happen. I am again going to ask you, who do you think is going to take top spot in this race in the Ilca? Who do you think is the most likely to win this race? Kazuki winning the first race in the fast boat, Nacra 17, but maybe someone else has a preference for the Ilca and manages better for these slower boats. 35 seconds to start, as they start positioning themselves to find the best position according to them for this start line or start procedure. And 5 seconds to start. Watch out for the false start. We did have one in the first race, and a couple of penalties. Are these false start? I'm not sure. Looks like it was an 11 on harder, and Hida touching the committee boat, being penalized by Rule 31. Hosekudi so far taking the lead as well straight after the start. We do see again a split in the fleets. We are going to see half of them almost continuing onto starboard, using this starboard favorable starboard shift, while most of the rest went to the right side of the course in darker zone colors for the wind before tacking onto starboard as well. But so far it's going to be Kazuki again, leading the fleet according to the ranking on the left. And well, if I were to pick a player to win this event, I think, I know I shouldn't because commentators curse, but Kazuki has shown some very strong performances in recent events, as I mentioned with the semi-final, and even during his Challenge 2, I think it was where he qualified for this event. just cruising above the rest of the competition. Though in this occasion he is 6th in the standings, well, in the race ranking on the left, and KGR is the one leading the fleet. KGR, one of the best Japanese players, I guess we can say, that we've seen in the 2022 eSailing World Championship final, and that I believe also qualified in the grand final for this year. So yeah, definitely a big name in the eSailing community, and we can't not talk about Jose Godi from Brazil. Will qualified for the Olympic Esports Series in 2022 with his coach Harder, and all these boats are very close to each other, so careful not to provoke a collision and be penalized. But it's going to be a very interesting downwind at the mark over here. Izuki being slowed down by the wind shadows of the boats in front, and Shiloh Finn in a bit of a tough spot over here, very close to a lot of boats around him, as Jose Godi is going to be the first one to start this downwind leg. Is he going to be safe from FC Rich's wind shadow? He is not, and I believe FC Rich is going to wait for Jose Godi to head more into downwind to try to catch him into the wind shadow, and KGR is going to do the same to FC Rich. Switching to the back of the fleet over here, we're going to have La Jeffa GBA, Hida, Ame, and Wimwi forming the straight line, but unfortunately too far to put anyone in the first half in their wind shadow. As Jose Godi, is still going to be the first one to reach the gate, and KGR FC Rich neck and neck as well. I believe we know they're all going to go onto the left mark over here. Jose Godi going straight onto starboard, so does FC Rich and KGR, consuming a bit more onto port. And we'll see if this decision pays off in the long run. Meanwhile, I do see quite some penalties in the back over here. Looks like we have some duels between Hida and maybe La Jeffa GBA. And KGR managed to reach this darker patch of water, so with more wind. Is this going to make the difference? We will see who is the first one to reach the top mark. And so yeah, for those of you watching us, who is the player that you're supporting in this final? Who do you think is going to be your favorite, and who might be the underdog that might surprise us? As we're gonna have a cross between Julifra and FC Rich. Julifra forced to tack onto port to not take the penalty of starboard, rule number 10. And the rest of the fleet just sailing towards the ley line, so the dotted line that you see at the top of your screen, before tacking over and heading towards the mark. Jose Godi still in the lead, and FC Rich and Julifra might take second and third place, though KGR is also in a pretty good spot. So Jose Godi again, the first who's going to reach the downwind, and for the last downwind of this race. And we'll likely see a bit of battle between number 2, 3, and 4. fighting to get the second place. Is FC Rich putting Hoseguri in his wind shadow? Looks like Hoseguri is out of it. Going going at the same speed now. Though FC Rich might get caught up by the players behind him with Scheidel Finn, and we're likely going to see some battle between, well, I said that between Julifra and KGR over here. Trying to get this this third place, though Scheidel Finn is coming in quite fast on the side. And Hoseguri is going to be the first one to cross the finish line, with FC Rich in close second. And Malorca in the chat, nice to see you there. And we're going to have a tight finish between these four boats over here, probably a penalty at some point. And no, they've all entered quite cleanly, and Muimui is going to be the one who closes the march right after Hida RS. And there we have it, the standings for race number 2 in the Ilca, Hoseguri taking the lead. And this one, well, previous race he finished last, so this definitely will help in the long run. As a reminder, there is a discard applied after race number 2. Sorry, after race number 6, not race number 2. And here is the scoreboard after race number 2. So we have a tie in first place between Julifra and KGR, a tie in second place between Harder and FC Rich. Kazuki in 5th with 10 points, Ame in 6th with 12 points, Hoseguri in 7th with 13 points. Rajefa GBA in 8th with 16 points, Muimui in 9 with 17 points, Scheidel Finn 18 points and 10, Yuzu 19 points and 11, and Hida 12th with 21 points. And hello to everyone joining the chat. I see you, Malorca, Very, Clem, Breast Power. Hope you're all doing well. 55 seconds to start. In the 49er. So 49er, the battle is going to be in the upwind, trying to find the good wind pressure, trying to find the good shifts. Kind of similar in the Nacra in the sense where it's a fast boat and, well, it's going to be hard to put a good enough wind shadow on your opponent unless you're very close to them. And MJ Trenner, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, supporting his Polish teammates Scheidel Finn and Rajefa GBA. Scheidel Finn, who was, well, the first in the overall ranking, not yet qualified in the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup, and Rajefa GBA, who was second in the female ranking. 1 second to start. Looks like we had no false start this time, but a couple of penalties. I do see one in a pen start. What is a pen start? Basically, the system will consider that you're doing a pen start if you're trying to well, if you get a penalty closer to start and use that penalty to avoid another penalty and then start onto port, the system will consider that you have done a penalty start and will apply another 10 seconds after your initial penalty has finished. Ame in the lead of the fleet according to the ranking on the left, but very close to FC Rich and KGR, obviously, because the race has just started. All of the boats trying to go onto the right side of the course, get this this wind pressure, this darker color that you see. Meaning more wind, meaning faster boats. In the overall standings, Ame is 6th with 12 points. That's 5 points behind Julifra and KGR, tied at first place. And as they get closer to the ley line, they are going to tack. We see Kazuki, who sailed until he was above the ley line before attacking, though we did see this wind shift that just happened, favoring a port tack, that is. But Kazuki double tacking to stay above the ley line and trying to get straight towards the mark. We'll see if this pays off. He did win the first race in Nacra 17. 49er is a similar boat in the sense that it's a fast boat. We'll see how he performs, and we do see two boats over there. Alone on the left, that's Shilofin and Hida Eris. Hida struggling a bit at the start of the competition, arriving 10 and 11 in the first two races. But he did qualify through Challenge 3, so maybe it's going to be a slow start for him, and he's going to wake up after race number 3. He's going to need it if he wants to pretend to the title, as he take a penalty here, Rule 18, not keeping clear of the boat that was already engaged. Ame leading the fleet in the first downwind, followed closely by FC Rich and KGR right behind them. And we might have a bit of a battle over here between Judifra and Jose Gori. Switching places, trying to put the other in the wind shadow or trying to get the advantage, trying to stay onto port so that they will get the advantage when they jibe onto starboard. Though we do have Yuzu, bit of a nuisance for them, putting Judifra in her wind shadow, or at least trying to. And we see that it is working, going almost, more than a knot. Almost two knots faster than Judifra. Well, a great example of using the wind shadow in the 49er, even though it's difficult to do. To slow down your opponent, though, watch out for the penalty between Judifra. It's going to be very close between these three players, Kazuki, Judifra, and Yuzu, as Ame is the first one to reach the second upwind, choosing to go with the left gate and continuing on to port. Port tack. Again, for those of you watching, who do you think the top two will be at the end of the event? Do you think it's going to be one of the grand finalists in the 2024 Resailing World Championship? So we have Harder, who qualified for the grand final. We have I think KGR Kazuki, who also qualified. In the grand final, we'll be having more details about that when we have more details. Meanwhile, in the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup, FC Rich still leading the fleet, and as I say that switch, the lead goes to Ame, who decided to stay on the right side over here, sailing all the way towards the ley line and trying to do the course in just a single tack. We're going to see if he tries to luff up a bit like you see them do on the Nacra 17. It's not as efficient on the 49er. He might not even he might not even need to do it, as the wind shift over here favors his heading. And he's going likely to put a considerable lead onto those following him. KGR and FC Rich very close to each other. And I don't think they'll be able to catch up Ame unless Ame has some wrong readings and takes the wrong side of the course. And so FC Rich decided to follow Ame on the right over here, while KGR decided to go on the left, followed by Jose Gori. On the two extreme sides of the course. And well, we see the fleet dividing into two, though the majority are following Ame's read and going on to the left side now if you're looking this way. For this last downwind. KGR has jumped up a bit. We'll see if that's enough to catch up on, well, he's in front of FC Rich on the right over there, top of your screen. And Ame is going to be the first one to cross the finish line in race number 349er. And it's going to be a very tight finish between the three boats arriving now. Jose Cody, KGR, and FC Rich. Took a 31 as he was crossing the finish line. Julifra coming in 5th. Kazuki in 6th, Mumui in 7th. Hida in 9, Yuzu in 8. Lajefa GBA in penalty is going to give out her spot to Harder, but manages to cross before Shiloh Finn. Our ranking for race number 3 is the one that you see on your screen right now. We'll see how this updates the overall standings. As usual, give me a couple of minutes to enter the scores and launch the next race, which is going to be the Nacra 17 in a reaching start this time. And there we have the overall standings. So a shift, Julifra, and forgot who it was who was tied with him in first place, drops down. It's going to be FC Rich and KGR tied for first place at 10 points. Julifra in 3rd with 12 points. Kazuki in Ame in 4th with 13 points. Kazuki in 5th with 16 points. Hosegodi in 6th with 17 points. Harder with 18 points in number 7. Mumui 24 points in number 8. Lajefa GBA 27 points in number 9. 28 points for Yuzu in number 10. 11th place is for Hida RS with 29 points. And Shiloh Finn 30 points in the 12th spot. Excellent, thank you. Don't hesitate to correct me again if I mess it up again. Race number 4, Nacra 17, reaching start. What's the reaching start? That means that there is that the wind is going to be coming on your starboard, and you're going to be starting the race on reaching. Usually, what that means, well, what happens in these reaching courses, if you're first to get to that reaching mark, that first mark, you are in a much more comfortable position to lead the fleet in the remainder of the race. And definitely arriving towards the back of the fleet for this first mark is going to be very hard and almost impossible to catch up to catch up the fleet and finish in a decent spot. We'll see how it goes. Usually, as well, with these reaching starts, players are gonna start quite far from the line to arrive at full speed and across the start line at full speed. 1 second to go. All boats in had a pretty decent start. We have Julifra and Kazuki with some good start, but it's going to be Jose Godi leading the fleet and reaching that first mark first, and then it's going to be a downwind to the gates and another upwind with another gate at the top. Jose Godi opting to go left while Lajefa GBA, sorry, going onto the right and turning their respective marks for this first upwind. Watch out for the crossover here. Jose Godi tacking over the Lajefa GBA. And on the side over there, who is that? I think it's Kazuki. Went straight to the right to get this this wind pressure over here, sailing at 14 knots almost. And well, slowly climbing up the ranking and catching up onto Jose Godi as he tacks over a bit short of the ley line, and well, hoping for a favorable shift for him. Right next to him is Jose Godi, the Brazilian player, and right above them is Lajefa GBA. And Andrin, the USI, thank you for the follow. Nice to see you here, man. So it's going to be tight between Kazuki and Jose Godi, but Kazuki in a slightly more comfortable spot, trying to luff up slightly to avoid having to tack an extra time and lose speed and time when trying to round the mark. And he's going to be the first one to start this downwind leg, and still close in 1, 2, 3, it's going to be Hosekoti and La Haifa GBA. Meanwhile, at the back of the fleet, let's go in the middle of the fleet, Ame and a number 10 penalty. So took the penalty from a boat coming in from his starboard. And over there on the left, Mwimwi in this wind pressure, chasing harder from Brazil. And is going to try to put him in his wind shadow, though is not going to be very effective. Harder has a better angle and manages to escape the wind shadow and place himself in front of him to keep the lead onto the gates. Switching back to our leaders, Kazuki is still leading on La Haifa GBA. Hosekoti is slightly above them and has the priority over Kazuki, but Kazuki managed to sail right in front of him. Shidewell Finn also came in, sneaked in into the top 4, is now in the discussion as well. It is going to be hard for him to catch up onto Kazuki in front of him over here, but maybe he can aim for number 2 or 3. Currently in the standings, he is going to need a race like this because he is 12th with 30 points, finishing 8, 10, and 12 in the first 3 races. As Kazuki over here attacks into the ley line to have a straight heading towards the gate, and Hosekoti managed to be in front of him. Kazuki decided to go under him, each choosing a different mark. And this is going to be the last downwind towards that reaching mark, and then a reaching finish for this race. So whoever manages to reach that mark first is likely going to take the lead. La Haifa GBA in third over here decided to leave these sailors fighting together and getting clear of them. And doing so, she is going to take 4th place and is going to have to reel that speed in as she lost a bit of speed with to Shidewell Finn, Kazuki, and Hosekoti, but Hosekoti is going to be the first one to cross the finish line, followed by Kazuki, Shidewell Finn, La Haifa GBA. Great performance from our Polish players over here. And Julie Fra struggling at the back. Looks like he did not like this reaching course. Standings for race number 4 is what you see on the screen. In the overall ranking, FC Rich and KGR are tied at first place with 10 points. We'll see how this race shuffles the standings. As usual, you're going to have to give me a few minutes to upload the scores, and I'll show you how the leaderboard changes right after that. And there we have the overall standings. KGR is in first place with 17 points. Hosekoti is tied with Kazuki in second place with 18 points. And we'll be heading towards race number 5 in the Ilca very shortly. Race is going to start at 45. So let's analyze a bit this leaderboard. So KGR first, 17 points. Tied in second place is Hosekoti and Kazuki with 18 points. 21 points for FC Rich in number 4. Then Ame and Harder are tied for 5th and 6th with 23 points. 24 points for Julie Fra in 7. Mumi is going to have 30 points in number 8. La Haifa GBA 31 points in number 9. Shidewell Finn 33 points in number 10. Yuzu in 11 with 36 points. And Hida is struggling at the back with 38 points in 12th position. But we did see kind of a repeat of the first race in the Nacra 17. Kazuki finishing first in the first Nacra 17 race and finishing second in the race number 4. And we did see a complete shift in the rankings regarding Hosekoti finishing last in the first race but finishing first in the second Nacra 17 race. It is currently 45 with all players in. So race number 5 is a go. and we will switch over to them while keeping the scoreboard on the side for you to see the standings. So in the Ilca, you could argue that the favorites would be Hosekotsi, FC Rich, and KGR arriving first, second, and third in the first Ilca race. This is going to be the second Ilca race. We're going to have 3 races of Ilca in total, with 3 races of each boat. This is the before last race before the discard is applied. So after race number 6, we're going to be applying the discard, meaning that the worst performance of each player is going to be voided and well, taken away from their overall score. And then we finish with the last 3 races for race 7, 8, and 9. 20 seconds to start. Most of the boats closing in onto the committee over here. We do see a couple of penalties on La FHBA and Hida RS. Careful with the penalty start. If you're in penalty, do not cross the start line onto port. You might get a penalty start. And that is what Hida has been doing. And we'll have an extra 10-second slowdown over here. So does the winner win anything? The winner of this event is obviously going to win the title of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup winner. They're going to receive a 1-year certification as winning and recognition in the game, and they will also have the possibility to design a new course to be added to the game of their choosing. It can be a course that already exists and that is used in the real life, or it can be something completely funky that you don't see in the real life, but that is that we could do in e-sailing, because that is the advantage of e-sailing, is that we are not bound to with the physical world, to the physical world, or the laws of the physical world. Ame is in the lead for this first upwind in the Ilca, tacking over, and is going to cross path with La FHBA and Hida RS, who has still managed to climb up to third beside, despite this, I would say, not ideal start. And the rest of the fleet is concentrated on the left over there with, who's it over here? FC Rich. On the most left part of the fleet. And if we concentrate in the middle of the fleet over here, we see that Ame and La FHBA are alone on the right side over there in this in the stronger winds, while Julie currently takes the top spot in the ranking on the, according to the ranking on the left. And right next to him is FC Rich and Shadowfin. But not Shidwolfin. And we'll see who reaches the mark first. It's going to be tight between these 3 boats. We'll also see how they decide to play this this first downwind. Are they going to try to slow each other down, or are they going to form a line and leave each other alone? With Hosekori taking 3rd place over here. Some good performances since his first race in Hosekori. We're going to put his first race as a warm-up, but finishing 1st, 4th, and 1st in race 2, 3, and 4. He is on a good streak. Julie Fra started fairly strong with 3, 4, and 5 in total. And having a struggle in this region course with the Nacra 17 finishing last in 12th position. And we saw, they decided to split and not cover each other. Hosekori is going to be between both of them. So if FC Rich or Julie Fra decide to jibe into his wind shadow, they are going to be slowed down by him. FC Rich first to start the second upwind, Julie Fra on his left in the second, both deciding to go onto port, while Hosokodi decided to continue a bit more on starboard for now attacking. It's going to be the same with KGR. And if we're looking at the back, it's going to be tight between Harder and La Hefa GBA, Yuzu, and Wimwi, taking penalties as they were rounding the marks, and therefore being slowed down. We're going to have an interesting crossover there at the top between Julie Fra and FC Rich. FC Rich barely making it just in front of Julie Fra, or Julie Fra barely making it just behind FC Rich. That could have been costful if they touched. FC Rich did have the advantage, sailing on to starboard. Hosogodi on their left, still in second and third, and Shidwa Finn comes into third over here. Better performances in these last two races, arriving third in the previous one, and currently third in the overall standings in the overall ranking of this race at the moment. As the boats are sailing to reach this first, the top mark before having this last downwind for race number 5. Looks like FC Rich is in a better spot. And Hosogodi is going to be able to park himself between FC Rich and Julie Fra, claiming second spot for this last downwind. And no fights so far. All the boats are gonna spread out and avoid each other, not putting anyone in their wind shadow, at least at the start of this first upwind. Shidla Finn might have the opportunity to put Judy Fra in his wind shadow, but he is being shadowed by KGR, and Kazuki being slowed down by almost by a knot. And then it's going to be straight sailing for Julie Fra and Hosogodi for second place. FC Rich has crossed the finish line, and it's going to be very close between these two boats over here. But Hosogodi is going to take first, touching the committee boat as well. Kazuki 5th and KGR in 6th, as the remainder of the fleet is going to cross. It's going to be tight between Harder and Ame on the left over there. We'll see. I think Ame might have crossed it first, and usually closes the march. Final standings for race number 5 in this Ilca. FC Rich takes top spot, Hosogodi in second, Julie Fra in third, and Shadwa Finn in fourth. And will, as usual, give me a couple of minutes to enter the scores. And we'll be heading on to race number 6 and 49er again. That's going to be the last race before the discard is applied, and it's going to be a single discard. You can see your the overall standings on your screen right now. Hosogodi is first with 20 points. Then it's going to be FC Rich with 22 points in second. Kazuki and KGR tied for 3 and 4 at 23 points. Judy Fra in 5th with 27 points. Ama in 6th with 33 points. Harder with 34 points in 7. Shadwa Finn 37 points in number 8. La Hefa GBA tied with Mumu at 39 points for number 9 and 10. 11th place goes to Hida with 45 points, and 12th place goes to Yuzu, the Swiss, for 48 points. Just to repeat to those who might have missed it, first of all, it's 57, so race number 6 is a go. This is the last race before the discard. It's going to be a single discard applied to one of the races, or one of the first 6 races, and then another 3 races after that. So, start procedure has been given. You have the ranking on the right for a couple more minutes as the countdown reaches the 1 minute. And so the winner does win a certification for a year, the title of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup winner, and they also get the opportunity to design a course, whether that's an existing course or one from their imagination to be added into the game. "30 seconds to the start." So 49er, we've seen Ahmed performed very well in the first 49er race. FC Rich was second after him. KGR was third after FC Rich, and Hosekuri was fourth in that race. So looks like Hosekuri might be the favorite for this race. Doing some great performances in the last few races. So just a 12th position in the first race, but then 1, 4, 1, and 2 in race 2, 3, 4, and 5. As 3 seconds for the start. And that is a penalty on FC Rich, which he's going to be slowed down. Also a penalty on Hida. Looks like Hida is struggling with the starts tonight. And KGR takes the lead according to the ranking on the left. Sailing on starboard, trying to reach this this wind pressure. Obviously, we've said it already, but with the 49er, it's going to be the wind pressure and the shifts we're going to favor and dictate the most likely winner. Looks like Shadow Finn is waking up. We've said that in previous race. Very good position over here at second spot. He did struggle at the start, finishing 8, 10, and 12, but then caught up with number 3 and 4 for race 4 and 5. Hopefully he can repeat that for this race as well. Meanwhile, Hosekuri stays in the top 3. Besides his first race, he has never finished outside of the top 4. So some pretty consistent and strong sailing from him tonight. I also want to mention that it is 6 a.m. now for the Japanese, so props to them for waking up this early and competing at this level for this final. KGR still in first place with Kazuki right beneath him. They're going to be the two who reach the first mark before heading into this first downwind. And behind them is going to be Shadow Finn and Ame. And Shadow Finn actually taking second place from Kazuki. Great maneuver by him. And if we're concentrating on the back of the fleet, looks like Yuzu has touched the mark. Rule 31, so it's going to be slowed down. Same goes with Hida taking a penalty. Rule 13. And we see Julie Frey at number 9 as well over here. He's had some pretty good sailing overall. Number 3, 4, 5, and 3, just won number 12. Hopefully he doesn't repeat that and manages to catch up with the remainder of the race. Looks like we're having some battles over here at the front, with Harder, Shadow Finn, and Ame trying to put each other into their wind shadows and trying to get a priority over them, over their opponents. Score, and it's going to be messy at the gate. Penalty here for Harder. Ame decides to leave these 3 boats on the right and sail, while choosing to go into the left mark alone without having to worry too much about the other boats. KGR still in the lead with a 60-meter lead according to the ranking on the left. If we're having an overview check, that does look like a pretty decent lead. And Ame and Kazuki fighting over here. Ame might was in Kazuki's wind shadow, but managed to get away from it, both sailing at the same speed, 11.2 knots. And going, well, it's going to go going slightly faster than KGR, but they've just slowed down to 1.1, and KGR is also sitting at 1.1. Hosegoji decided him to sail alone on the right over here, hoping for a favorable shift. He was second at the start of no, he was third, I think, at the start of the first downwind, now in 12. It looks like the shift is not going to favor him. It's going to go against him, and KGR is going to make use of that and reach the first mark, or the second top mark first. Kazuki and Ame still neck and neck in the second place. And Hosegoji was forced to double tack to reach the ley line again, and is going to be at the back of the fleet for this last downwind. We might have a battle between Harder and FC Rich, and we might have a battle between Ame and Kazuki. We're going to fight for the second place. Kazuki is third overall with 23 points, tied with KGR, and Ame is 6th at 33 points, or 10 points behind. And there's actually no fighting going to happen. Ame is going to continue on to the extreme ley line on the left, while Kazuki decided to go onto the first one, then jibed again, and they're now in a single line, again. And smooth sailing for KGR until the end. Shidwa Finn opting on the right. Let's actually follow the finish for these two players over here. Kazuki second, Ame third. Gonna be harder with FC Rich on the pennant over there. Mui number 6, with FC Rich Hida managing to finish right before him. And Yuzu and Hosegoji are going to close the march, and that's gonna hurt Hosegoji quite a lot. He was first with 20 points, so that's gonna put him at 32 points, so still in the top 5 before the discard, and we'll see how this shuffle the rankings. But this is the standings for race number 6. We're going to be entering the scores, applying the discard, and we'll be right back. Okay, well, you see the leaderboard on your screen. We've had another bit of a shuffle. Kazuki and FC Rich now tied for first place at 16 points. KGR in third at 17 points, just 1 point behind. Hosegoji dropped down to fourth with 20 points. Fifth is for Judify, 24 points. Ame 26 points in sixth position. Harder 7th position with 27 points. Shidwa Finn 33 points at number 8. Mui number 9 with 34 points. The Haifa BA 38 points for number 10. 11th goes to Hiro RS with 40 points, and Yuzu in 12th with 47 points. So discard has been applied. We see that Kazuki has had some very good results. Worst race being a number 9. Having that discard for FC Rich did help him quite a lot, hoarding this 11th spot, and it is currently 0-9 with all players in. So race number 7 is a go. And we'll switch over to watch them. Last race in the Nacra 17. So Nacra 17, if we're looking at the past races, so we had this one is going to be similar to the first race. So it's going to be an upwind, downwind. Kazuki arrived first, Harder arrived second, and Judifa third, with KGR fourth. In the second Nacra 17, it was Hosegoji first, Kazuki second, Shidwa Finn third, and Lahefechi BA in fourth. So we'll see if any of these players manage to get another good score in this Nacra 17 race. We can look at the scoreboard right now. We see that it's very tight for first place. Kazuki and FC Rich tied. KGR just 1 point behind. Hoseguri just 4 points behind, and Julie Fra 8 points behind with 3 races to go. 18 seconds till start. And Dane Law in the chat, nice to see you there. Don't quite understand what you've put over here. But 3 seconds to go. Looks like it was a false start for Harder. He's going to have to sail back behind the finish line. Most of the boats deciding to go onto port tack, fetching this this wind pressure that you can see on the mini map. And we're going to follow Ame, currently leading the fleet according to the ranking on the left, doing some luffs to gain some meters above his opponents. Very careful not to slow down too much. And well, first place goes to now Hida with this shift. He was going at 13 knots, and Japan is doing very well indeed, Dane Law, in this event so far. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3 are Japanese players. Kazuki, FC Rich, and KGR with just 1 point difference between the three of them. And now Hoseguri manages to take first spot, and as I said that, it's gonna go over to Shadwa Finn before switching back to Hoseguri. I did see it, yep. I believe it was Ame over here who did the start over here. 7th position, so he was first at some point, did drop down in the ranking. And is it going to be Hoseguri? No, it's going to be KGR. Taking the lead onto this reaching offset before this first downwind. Yes, your bloody start. Meanwhile, Harder is struggling at the back. Still taking a penalty, but we did see him. Yeah, he did a false start, so I had to sail back and cross the start line again. That for sure showed him down. Meanwhile, Shadow Finn is performing well again in the Nacra 17. He did arrive, I think it was 3rd, indeed, in the second Nacra 17 race. And is hoping to improve his score again. Keeping to the wind pressure over here. We do see this darker color coming down in the center of the course. KGR maintaining the lead. And going 0.1 knots faster than Shadowfin at some point. Managed to find a little gust. Ame came back in the conversation. Was 3rd for a second here. And is now dropped down to 5th. 4th place taken by Hoseguri, the Brazilian sailor. Shidwa Finn took first spot from KGR. That is a great performance from him in this race. But he is with KGR very close. Looks like KGR went over the ley line trying to finish into almost, well, it's not very reaching, but trying to foil up. Nacra 17 is a boat that can foil, and if you manage to foil, where you're going to have a decent speed boost. That's not a technical term, but basically you have less less equipment's slowing you down by the water, less friction with the water, so if you can foil, you should try to foil, and it's going to be tight for as a finish between these two players, Shidwafin and KGR. Meanwhile, Moonwee decided to go alone on the right, or separate from the two leaders. And we see the two over there fighting over there. We're going to watch them again, see if we have any changes in them. Shidwafin still first, but KGR might take it. But I think it's going to be a win for Shidwafin. Well done for him. Well done to him in this Nacra 17 race. Shidwafin first, KGR second, Moonwee third. Kazuki comes in fourth. Hida in fifth. Good to see him in the top five. Hosegodi in sixth. Ame in seven. Julifra 8, 9 for Yuzu, 10 for Did Not See What I Was Harder, La Haifa GBA in 11, and FC Rich in 12. This is the standings for race number 7. We have only 2 more races to go. One in Ilca, one in 49er. As usual, you're going to have to give me a couple of minutes to enter the scores. And we'll send out the instructions for the players to join the next race. There we have the overall standings. Race number 8 is going to start in just a minute. But what can we say right now? With the tie was broken between the two leaders. Obviously, KGR maintaining his first position at 19 points. Kazuki in second with 20 points. Hosegori in third with 26 points. FC Rich in fourth with 28 points. Julifra 32 points in fifth. Ame 33 points in sixth. 34 points for Shidwafin in 7. Harder is going to have 37 points, tied with Moonwee for 8 and 9. Hida is going to be 10th with 45 points. The Haifa GBA 49 points, 11, and Yuzu 56 points in 12. We still see a just 1 point difference between number 1 and number 2. We're starting to dig a bit more between first and third, 7 points difference between the two of them. And then another 2 points, so 9 points difference with number 4 between KGR and FC Rich. It is currently 19, so race number 8 is a go. Last race in Ilca. This is the before last race in the event, and we're going to switch over to them. In the previous Ilca races, Hosekoji in the first one took first, FC Rich second, and KGR third, Julifra fourth. And in the second Ilca race, it was FC Rich in first, Hosekoji in second, so they swapped places. Third went to Julifra, and number 4 was Shidwafin. So we do see a, well, theoretically we could say that FC Rich, Hosekoji, and Julifra would be the favorites for this race. Julifra is at 32 points, so quite of a difference with KGR. He's going to have to perform very well and hope that KGR has a misstep to claim for the title. 20 seconds to start. Boats are getting into position, getting closer to the Kometsu boat. We do see a couple of penalties here on Ame, for example, colliding with the boats. Be careful not to be slowed down too much. And 2 seconds to start. And it's a go. No false. We do see a false start from Hosekoji. That's going to cost him quite a lot. Kazuki taking the lead as the race starts. In this last Ilca race, we do see Julifra opting to go alone on the right, maybe hoping to get some more wind pressure over there. We'll see if that pays off. And going slightly like 0.1 knots faster than the rest of the fleets. But is going to be slowed down by La Haifa GBA, so has to tack to get out of the wind shadow. Focusing on the left over here, Kazuki maintaining his starboard tack. Going to the extreme, we'll see if he waits to reach the ley line before tacking or if he's going to tack before. And he's going to tack before. Watch out with Wimwe just in front of him. He is going to have to sail under him and let Wimwe pass. Wimwe being on starboard has the priority. In the center of the fleet over here, Yuzu sailing her course. Not too many people around her, so she's fairly clear. So she's gonna have to watch out on the two boats arriving on her starboard. She can tack over them to put them in her wind shadow and slow them down, which is exactly what she did on Julifra over here, who is going to tack away. Is it La Jefa GBA over there sailing towards the ley line and tacking it just underneath it? Meanwhile, Hida takes the first spot and is might be able to put the boats on his port over here in his wind shadow with the legs of Kazuki and Mimi, but decides to tack just before the ley line, trying to get the shortest path. And Yuzu coming in over there might have tacked a bit too early. She could have maybe put a penalty on FC Rich or force FC Rich to tack or sail under her. But she is in the top three, so probably going to try to sail conservatively and tacks again, forcing FC Rich to stay clear of her. Watch out on touching the mark. So Hida, Yuzu, and FC Rich in 1, 2, 3, but Kazuki, Wimwe, well, the rest of the fleet is very close behind. We'll see what their strategy is. Is it going to try to slow down Hida with the wind shadow? It looks like Hida might just be outside of Yuzu's wind shadow. But Yuzu is being slowed down by the boats behind her. And Hida is clear of any wind shadow. La Jefa GBA managed to go into 6, meanwhile Julifra stayed in number 8. His strategy did not pay off, well, the way he was hoping. I guess Hida is going to be the first one to reach the first downwind gate, and it's going to be another upwind and another downwind before the finish. And still a tight fleet, no clear apart from Hida. If he manages to keep enough distance, he's not going to be bothered in the downwind. But for number 2, 3, 4, 5, the fleet is still quite close to each other. Yuzu managing to keep on to her second spot, and is it want to see who is over there on the left of the course. It's FC Rich. We went to get this wind pressure, sailing over the ley line and then tacking. I believe that he just took a bit of security in case there's a shift going against him. Right next to him is Mumui, but Hida and Yuzu are still in the lead. And FC Rich took their place for Mumui with this slight shift. Let's focus a bit on the back. We see Julifra next to Hosegodi. Over here in 7 and 8. Decided to stay away from the other boats, not to be trapped in their wind shadow, to not to be slowed down too much. And they're gonna hope that the front of the fleets battle and slow each other down so that they can hopefully gain a few places in the overall standings in race number 8. I'm going to show you again. This is how it looks like. KGR is first with 19 points, Kazuki second with 20 points, Hosegodi third with 26, FC Rich 28 in fourth, it's winner takes it all. So Kazuki and KGR are in a pretty comfortable position in the overall standings, though Kazuki is currently 5th, while KGR is 9. Hida taking the lead. Is he being slowed down by FC Rich, who took 2nd spot from Yuzu? Looks like Hida manages to escape from FC Rich when Shadow Wimui right behind him. And Yuzu as well got caught up by the rest of the fleet. We saw that it was very tight. And with this downwind, the boats likely got slowed down, giving the opportunity to the boats at the back of the fleet to catch up a bit. But Hida is has crossed the finish line first. FC Rich is going to be 2nd, Mumi's going to be 3rd. Yuzu is going to take 4th spot. Kazuki might take number 5 with Harder. It was very tight between both of them. A battle here between La GBA and Ame, and La GBA takes the penalty. And then a tight finish again between Jose Godi, Julie Fra, and Shidwa Finn. And well, the results for race number 8 in Ilca is the following. We'll see how this shuffles the overall standings. As usual, give me 3 minutes to enter the scores. And we'll be right back for the last race of this event in 49er. And there we have it. So Kazuki takes 1st place from KGR, 25 points for him, KGR 28 points. 2 points behind KGR is FC Rich in 3rd with 30 points. These 3 Japanese still maintaining the 1-2-3 position. Ozugodi maintaining his 4th spot with 36 points. Then we have a 2-way tie between Ame and Wimui for 5th and 6th with 40 points. 2-way tie between Harder and Judy Fa with 43 points and 7 and 8. Shidwofin and Hida RS 9 and 10 tied at 46 points. Daihatsu GBA 57 points in 11 and Yuzu 60 points in 12. Last race is going to be the race in 49er again. Still missing 1 player, and the race is going to start in just a minute. And if we're looking at the previous, what happened previously in the 49er, Ame took the first 49er in the first 49er race. FC Rich 2nd, KGR 3rd, and Hosegori 4th. In the second 49er race, it was KGR and Kazuki 1st and 2nd. 3rd went to Ame, and 4th went to Harder. So we still see a not a domination, but a perhaps more favorable towards the Japanese players, showing that they are they are one of the bests. Kazuki did completely dominate his semi-final back in the Eastland World Championship last weekend. The scores are tighter in this race, but he is taking 1st spot with 3 points ahead of KGR. It is currently 32 with all the players in. So the last race is going to start. And we're going to switch over. Breast Power, I cannot reply to what you send in the chat because I unfortunately do not know how to read or speak Japanese. But we do see that 3 of the 4 Japanese are in the top 3, and the 4th Japanese Mimui is top 6. Less than 40 seconds to start for this last race of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup. And this is not challenge 4, but the grand final. And 13 seconds to start. 2, 1, And is a go. Is there any false start? It does not look like it. We did see a couple of penalties, and FC Rich takes the lead. With Jose Guti right next to him. So FC Rich currently has 30 points. He needs to be placed 5 places ahead of Kazuki if he wants to pretend for the title. And Kazuki, well, KGR, whereas KGR at the moment, KGR is number 9. He needs to be 3 places in front of Kazuki, but Kazuki is not going to give them the opportunity. Currently in first according to the ranking on the left, and he's going to try to maintain this position until the end of the race. With a 3-point lead on the second, he is not totally safe, but he is leading. To give you another update on the scores if you want to have a look at it again. And we've seen this huge shift, and Jose Guti over here on the top, but I want to go check these other boats over here. FC Rich, who were in the wind pressure, and taking first spot from Kazuki, who dropped down to number 8. And it's going to be tight between FC Rich, Ame, and Jose Guti. Ame was the first to reach the zone, but decided to leave room to FC Rich and Jose Guti. We'll see how they fight for this first place. Ame has 40 points overall, so is 15 points behind Kazuki, so unfortunately he cannot claim for the title. The only one who could is well, since there's 12 players, is Jose Guti. Mathematically, if Jose Guti finishes first and Kazuki last, he might have a chance. But otherwise, most of the fight is going to be between Kazuki, KGR, and FC Rich. And FC Rich in a good position to claim for the title. Currently 3rd, Kazuki in 6th, so he does need to be 5 places ahead of Kazuki, well, with the 5-point difference. So he needs to do his best to finish first, and then hope that the other players perform better than Kazuki to push Kazuki down in the leaderboard. We do see a domination of the Japanese players. Only the top 4 can pretend to the title, and 3 of them are Japanese. Just to show the difference, well, not the difference, the progress they've made. They've also had their nationals, their East-Link National Championship recently. I believe it was today, so this morning for us, and it's going to be this, I believe, tomorrow afternoon as well. Well, tomorrow morning for us, but that's the late evening for them. So it's going to be a long day for them, waking up at 5 a.m. for this final, and then having their nationals right after. Well, right after, at the end of the day. Ame keeping his first spot. FC Rich and Jose Guti still right beside him. Kazuki still in 6th. So if FC Rich is 2nd and Kazuki in 6th, that's not going to be enough for FC Rich to claim for a top spot. And well, after this mark, it's going to be the last downwind of the last race. So the last opportunity for Kazuki, KGR, FC Rich, or Jose Guti to aim for the crown. The winner of this event is obviously going to win the title of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup winner, as well as a 1-year certification as recognition in game, and the opportunity to add a new course in the game that could be added to custom races as well, of their liking. So it could be a course that they designed completely from scratch with their imagination, or it could be an existing course that you use in the real life to add in the game. But Kazuki climbs up to 4th, so that's going to be tough for FC Rich. FC Rich really needs to take that first place, and needs to hope that the rest are going to be able to push Kazuki down the rankings. KGR is behind Kazuki, so it's going to be tough for him to claim for top spot. So does well, Hosegori is actually also in front, but Hosegori has a 9-point difference with Kazuki. Unless Hosegori manages to finish his first and by some miracle Kazuki crumbles down the ranking, he's not going to be able to take the top spot. But as the race finishes, Ame is going to be the first one who crosses the finish line, followed by FC Rich and Hosegori. And then we're going to have to wait and see, where does Kazuki end. It looks like he is going to end number 4 and number 5 maybe for Julie Fra. That was very tight with KGR. Wingme arriving at 7. Then it's going to be between Shidlofin, Hida, Harder, Yuzu, and La Haifa GBA. And well, these are the final standings for this last race. Ame first, FC Rich second, Hosegori third, Kazuki 4th, Julie Fra 5th, KGR 6, Mimi 7, Hida 8, Shidwolfin 9, Harder in 10, Yuzu in 11, and La Haifa GBA in 12. I believe that means that Kazuki has won the event. We will confirm that with the updated score if you just give me a minute. And there we have it. The final standings. Kazuki proving once again that he is a top player, 29 points, taking the first place with 9 races, 29 points. 32 points for FC Rich arriving in second, 34 points for KGR in third, Hosegori with 39 points in fourth, Ama in fifth with 41 points, Mumui in sixth with 47 points, Julie Fra in 7 with 48 points, Harder 8th with 53 points, 54 points for Hida in 9, 55 for Shidwofin, and 10, Lajefa GBA with 69 points, nice, in 11, and Yuzu in 12 with 71 points. What a race, what an event. Congratulations to these 12 sailors, and a special congratulations to Kazuki, official winner of the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup. And this event, well, 9 races in this grand final, 29 points for him. Proved, well, once again, he did dominate the semi-final A in the Eastern World Championship, and he now won again in the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup. Does this mean that this year is going to belong to Kazuki? It does look like it in these last events. But yes, again, big congratulations to these 12 players. Special congratulations to Kazuki, who is going to receive the 1-year certification as in-game recognition as Paris 2024 Inshore Cup winner, and is going to be able to design a new course, either by taking an existing course or by designing it from his imagination to add it in the game as a, well, also in the custom races. Thank you everyone for watching and joining. You can congratulate Kazuki in the chat over here. He really deserves it. And thank you all for joining the stream. And well, we'll see each other next time. Not sure when the next stream is going to happen. More competitions are going to come. We're going to have the grand final of the Eastern World Championship. We might have the Nations Cup at some point soon as well. And maybe other events organized by Virtual Regatta in the upcoming days. Next weekend is going to be a 40 fleet player on Saturday, so we're going to have the vote to boat event. So if you want to see your choice of boat for the 40 fleet, you're going to have to vote once the poll has been made public. And yeah, that's it. Again, congratulations to Kazuki winning the Paris 2024 Inshore Cup. This was Oscar, your host. It's been a blast, and we'll see you next time.